good people? You are now listening to another episode of Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. I am your humble narrator, Danny Foxworth. It's good to be back in this thing for another week. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you all for all of the great and positive feedback for the episode I did with Skyzoo last week. That was easily one of my favorite episodes that I've ever done. And shout out to y'all for just giving me all of the great feedback for that episode, especially my dog 12 Kyle, host of the 12 Kyle podcast. If you're not tuned into his podcast, you got to get with it, because honestly, he's one of the reasons why I dipped my toe in this podcasting thing. Huge influence on me. And for him to take time out of his day to say how much he enjoyed that episode, that meant the world to me. He left a tweet saying that it sounded like me and Skyzoo were just country cousins sitting on the front porch drinking the sweet tea, having a conversation, just catching up on lost time. And that means the world to me. So shout out to you, 12 Kyle. Now, having said that, I would be remiss if I didn't say that thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that was affected by Hurricane Helene, especially in the western North Carolina, the greater Asheville area, and also the upstate and Midlands of South Carolina, who got hit pretty hard. And thank you for those of y'all that reached out to me via text asking me if I was okay, if I got any damage during the storm. And fortunately, we didn't get a whole lot of damage down here in the low country. I got some tree branches that fell in my backyard, but that was about the extent of it. And again, I'm thankful that the situation was not worse than it was. And again, thoughts and prayers out to everybody that was affected by this hurricane. And also, just keeping it on the subject of people reaching out. I have a family member. She's one of my favorite family members. Shout out to my cousin Marlo, who's truthfully, she's more like an aunt to me. And we have such a special relationship, and we bond over the same things. And this year, it's been rough on her. You know, she's been having some medical issues, and on top of that, losing a daughter. You know, I can only imagine the worst feeling as a parent is outliving your child. So I make a habit of reaching out to her every so often, just, you know, picking up the phone and giving her a ring just to check in and see where her headspace is. And our phone conversations generally don't last longer than maybe 7 to 8 minutes, but it's always cool, and it's always just very very fulfilling and enriching to really just chop it up with her for that, even if it's for that short amount of time. Whenever we hang up the phone, I always feel better after having a conversation with her. A lot of times we'll talk about, you know, buying plants or planning on planting things, or talking about what our weekend plans are or what we did over the weekend. Like, she'll see what I do on social media, and I'll see what she's doing on social media. And one of the things I love the most about talking to Marlo is whenever I ask her how she's doing, she never, ever, ever lies to me. There's some times where she's like, you know, I'm doing good. And then there's other days where she's like, Danny, I'm making it. And then there's other days where she's just like, today's been rough, you know, just thinking about everything that's going on. You know, it's just, my head's in a bad space, Danny. And even if the conversation over the phone is short, if she's having a bad day, I'll ask her, you know, what's making this, what's troubling you? You know, because it's not good to carry that and just hold those feelings in, because that's bad for your mental and your physical. So anytime she wants to dump her problems on me, I'll always allow her to, because again, it's the right thing to do, especially with family members that you love. And Marlo, I appreciate you and I love you, and you mean the world to me, and I mean that sincerely. I talked to her last Friday, and that phone conversation might have lasted 5 minutes, but still, she was upbeat, she was in good spirits, and just talked about plants and, you know, things that we're planning on getting for the upcoming cold winter So again, Marlo, thank you. And I say that to say, check in with your people. Love on your people. Pour into the people that pour into you, because we're going through some rough times, and everybody's got something that they're going through, and it's always good to be a lending ear and just to hear people out, just so they don't have to keep those thoughts and those feelings bottled up, because again, that's not good for you. And also, while you're checking in with other people, it's also paramount that you also check in with yourself. You got to do a self inventory. When you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, how am I doing? Am I okay? Do I need to reach out to somebody for something? No, just make sure, please just remember to check in with yourself. And also, don't be afraid to set boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to disengage from people that are draining you physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. You gotta put the pause on that, because again, you only got one life, and you gotta live that life to the fullest. And you need the least amount of BS going on around you as possible, so you can flourish in this world. So those are just things that were on my heart, and I hope you receive those with love and apply those methods. And this is going for myself too, because I do that. I really don't check in with myself as much as I should, and I'm holding myself accountable as well. So again, thank y'all for listening. It's just a quick little mini-sode, just to get these thoughts off my mind. So make sure that you like, download, and subscribe to Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. Make sure that you tell a friend to tell a friend about the podcast. You can find me on my YouTube page at Danny Foxworth 843. There you can find all of the videos, versions of episodes of this podcast, as well as my baseball podcast, At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. My podcast about candles, which is entitled The Wicked Good Time with Danny Foxworth. And my other podcast, which is entitled Growing Up Low Country with Liz and Danny. There will be a new episode dropping this week, where it's just two lifelong friends talking about growing up in the low country. I mean, hence the title, self-explanatory. But I'm not going to take up any more of your time. This has been another episode of Since We Last Spoke. And until next time, y'all be good. Peace.